Hello there, I am Jaime Elizondo from Real World Ranching, where our goal is to help you achieve maximum profitability while you improve your land the fastest. Today, I want to talk to you about taking the whole into consideration. Most of us have heard that we must take the whole into account so as not to make mistakes that will have long-term consequences. And that is true because most people make immediate decisions based only in the near future and not in the far future. That's a mistake of our culture. So if we do not take everything into account, we may not be successful in what we want to achieve. It is said that many of the undesirable consequences that we are having today with the use of synthetic fertilizers, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, are due to not taking into account the entire soil biome, its interaction with the quality of the plants that we produce, and how them, by not being well nourished in a natural way, send a signal to pest insects so that they come and devour them. This happens because the molecules are in a simple way, the molecules or your produce or your plants, the way that the insect pest needs to be able to digest it, as they have a very simple digestive system. So this is a small example of what happens when we do not take into account the whole when deciding on doing something. Many call this holistic management, and although the name is appropriate, its implementation has left on the side essential parts of the whole. I believe that it is really necessary to take the whole into account without dogmatism and trying not to leave anything out. For this, it is necessary to always follow nature and never go against it. Why? Because nature has bigger pockets than any of us. If you know of someone who might be interested in this blog or could help him, please share it so that more people can access it. Going back, when trying to manage the whole, we see that there is always a whole within another whole. On the farm, we must take into account the biome of the soil life, the grassland, and its interaction with our livestock and other animals, the nutritional quality of what we produce, the processes that intervene in the life of the soil and of our pasture and livestock, the people who live from that land, the society to which we belong, the impact of our decisions on the vitality of the environment, and many others. Then we realize that we are not isolated and that what we do or do not do has consequences in other parts of the world called planet Earth. This can become very complex, or we can keep it simple. It all depends on whether you are going to follow the natural processes of nature or you are going to try to go against nature. The first option will be low cost and bring good results, while the second option implies a great effort and spending more with bad results, or rather dire consequences. So what goal do we want to achieve? What will be the best objective? Will it have to be something complex and with fancy names? Or could it be something simple and easy to implement? Well, we know that if we study nature and do not contradict nature, we can help her achieve maximum productivity per acre or farm at a low cost. We also know that we need to have basic knowledge of plant and animal physiology, livestock selection guidelines, soil, biome, and most important, to be able to plug in the numbers correctly to see if it is convenient or not to do something. There is currently a lot of good information available for anyone who is interested on the internet. Of course, you have to be careful not to believe everything that you hear or read, but to observe nature and consult with those who have experience being successful on their own farms. Of course, you can also consult with those who are only dedicated to giving advice or classes, but they will not have the same experience, practical experience, as someone who lives from what their farm produces and seeks to improve it. This is due to the lack of knowledge, many times, of what cash flow and capital gains mean. Something that exemplifies very well this taking the whole into account is the supplementation of a small amount of a high-protein supplement when grazing stockpile forage or grass. I have observed that due to dogmatism, many ranchers and advisors do not consider the benefits that this brings to the operation, both economically or ecologically, and most certainly productively. And to me, it is a very simple matter. If I can save $300 per cow per year by grazing deferred pastures, even after deducting the cost of the small amount of a high-protein supplement to accomplish this, why not do it? Especially if doing it allows me to double or triple my stocking rate with animals in good body condition and the nutrients recycled on site. And as we already know, just as your livestock need grass, grass needs livestock. This means that if we don't have enough livestock to achieve a total grazing under the total grazing program, the pasture is going to start to go backwards or degrade. Another important tool that was left aside in the so-called holistic management is adapted genetics and with selection guidelines to improve the soil, pasture, and environment where our livestock graze. Why leave on the side something so important for success? Isn't it better to have a herd or flock that can do more with less? Animals that are not only efficient in converting grass to meat and milk, but also help with their hooves and grazing actions to regenerate the soil and pasture. Wouldn't that be important to know? Wouldn't it be important to know how new humus is actually created and more carbon is captured from the air into the soil? Yes, it is so important. And people and those dogmatic teachers are way behind in their knowledge. If we put dogmas aside and open our minds, together with the correct observation of nature, we can get much further than if we inhibit human creativity. We must also recognize that there is always more than one way to achieve something, and we must not impose our way as the only way. We can only suggest or advise what we believe to be the best after years of experience doing it. Conclusion and review. Number 1, we must take into account the whole and recognize that there will always be several wholes within that whole. 2, we must follow or imitate nature in its processes and not contradict her. 3, we must never be dogmatic because this inhibits human creativity and prevents a better result. 4, let's use the tools that suit us to help nature to be more productive without altering it. 5, adapted genetics with adequate selection guides is a very important tool to regenerate the environment, grassland, and humus levels in our soils. Well, I hope you like this podcast and you can put it into practice. Thanks, and until next time, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube, or join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. Have a great day.